Hello again, everybody. Dave Stevens here for Geary, Stein, and Stevens. And of course, I'm at the home offices here in Bristol, Connecticut, where I worked for over 20 years and get to have one of my coworkers from back in the golden days of ESPN joining us tonight. But joining me right now, of course, is my co host in Minnesota, Troy Geary. Troy, has the snow started up there? Is it as cold as I think it usually gets about this time up there in Duluth?
Yeah, any day now, Dave. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Well, I want to bring in our guest tonight. First, let me tell you a little bit about his playing career. He played in Washington. He played in Denver. He won a couple of Super Bowls, and then he went on to an illustrious career as a broadcaster at ESPN. He finds himself in the press box these days for Fox doing play by play, but he's on everything. He's got an opinion. He talks. He hosts. I don't know if he sings or dances, but my buddy Mark Schlereth joining us. Stink, thanks for being a part of our show tonight. It is great to have you in there. I know you're busy prepping for everything going on this weekend, but it is so good to see you, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. Good to see you. It's been a few, but I always see you at certain events. So I don't know, Super Bowls and other places that we bump into each other. But great.
Yeah, it's great to have you on tonight, and we get to reminisce and talk and think about all the good things involved with football. But right out of the gate, I got to ask you, since you were a former offensive lineman, are you ready to jump into the coaching ranks as a head coach?
Big topic of conversation here in Denver because obviously the Broncos and I get asked that question since my buddy Jeff Saturday too. And it's an interesting proposition. For smart football guy, was a great player for has a great backstory, because he was a free agent that football and working and doing things away from football in Annapolis and started that 14-year journey. So he's got a great story. It's really interesting. You think about coaches today and how many guys calling, and have trouble managing games and that all CEO, if you will. And I look at Seattle right now and Pete Carroll, all the different things that have gone on in Seattle, them trading away Russell Wilson, surprising everybody, being having 6 wins right now. I think Vegas wins right now, and leading the NFC West and the coordinator. But when he took over as a head coach, and he was a head coach for the Jets at USC, but when he took over in Seattle, he wasn't trying to football, and he is involved in building that culture in Seattle and facility. Man, everything's a competition. Like we're gonna monitor who eats, all dialed in, and that's Pete Carroll's philosophy. And so I look at coach a position. You're not asked to coach, to call play, and I think that's really what Jim Irsay, the owner of the Peyton Manning, ain't coming to coach us. So we can bring back some of that glory established in Indianapolis when arguably they were one of them. So yeah, that my name has come up. I mean, I am not lobbying for anybody's job.
Yeah, you work with a lot of good announcers, Dick Stockton, Chris Myers. Do you have a Dick Stockton story you want to share with us?
Stockton is just he's just such a classy guy. And Dick Dick is broken in every broadcaster. Like that's exponentially more difficult than being in studio. There's just so much um it just is really challenging. And signed to be at Fox, and I got paired with Dick. I mean, so um, we had a great 2-year run together, learning so much about broadcasting, and then just kind of hanging out. It was interesting for me because I told Dick, so feel free. I always told him that there's no virgin meat on my ass when I'm screwing things up or I'm not doing what you need me to do, and all that kind of stuff with me every Sunday morning. And so every Sunday morning before we went over to the stadium, and calm before the storm, before we went out and did games, and basketball. I mean, he was the lead basketball guy for those NBA championships between the Lakers and the Celtics, NFL games forever. And he's like, I've been doing this for 50 years. Let's go sit down and have breakfast every Sunday morning and years. And I tell you what, just the class act, a man, and I have nothing but the utmost respect and
Mark, I was often wondering, back in our days at ESPN, you had to do so much research, and it's tough as a player to rate a player or to talk about a player or to call them out on something. And I'm wondering, is a game plan for a broadcast a lot tougher than the game plan for an offensive lineman? I mean, an offensive lineman just has to know blocks, schemes, pressures, things like that. But you need to know both sides of the ball, all the way down to the punter and special teams guys. So at a moment's notice, you can bring up any kind of thing about him, where he's from. I mean, so I'm wondering, how do you game plan for that on a week to week basis?
yeah, yeah, it's not even for me. It's not even that because that does a lot of that research. I'm studying a lot of film and looking kind of what I think they should be what they should be doing. Some of the interesting kind of nuggets that you're talking about a guy's background. So I always kind of look into that stuff. But I think the biggest challenge, just the global perspective of a football game. You're not analyzing every play. You're analyzing forward, and you're really trying to talk about the game from people. I've said, doing a game in the NFL is like playing the accordion. Well, do you play the accordion? And I go, no, I don't play the accordion. But I mean, what I would imagine, you play squeeze box in, and you get very myopic on a football, and you expand it, right? And talk as a generalizations of the game. And so it's this constant balance of it is it's just it's a real, there's a real, and so that's been kind of one of the things that I think is really hard. And then you play offensive line, and depending on any position that you play, say you watch the game through a straw hole, based on the position. Excuse me, and you've got the entirety of the game. Now, I played defense in college, so an offensive lineman, but I switched to defense because I was, most of my career in college was a defensive player. Football as a junior in college and my senior year, but I switched positions. I went back over to the offensive side of the ball. That perspective of playing defense and understanding defense front seven and what we're trying to do. And it really helped me as a offensive side of the ball. I just had a different perspective on guys where they line up and understanding that hey, that guy, he's 2 foot out of position or whatever. And when you see that, you're like, okay, you kind of process that information. So that certainly helped me. But it's it's a fun challenge.
Well, it's been fun to watch you, and I know you've been doing a lot of games. Vikings for last weekend, all over the place, and I know you're heading to Pittsburgh this week. How do you prepare for a game that's maybe not the one that everybody wants to see because you got to bring something special to it?
Yeah, I listen. It's broadcasters to get into. Hey, I'm not calling the best game of the week. It's Pittsburgh in the AFC North, and it's Pittsburgh's 2-6, and New Orleans, whatever they are, 3-5, and so it's not a it's not a 3-6, and 2-6 Pittsburgh, but anyhow, and like you have to understand my perspective. I'm a kid dreaming of playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was my to be from the time I was 12 years old. Was a football player. And coming where I came from and playing in the National Football League, and one scholarship offer to the University of Idaho, and being injured, having an agent, and showing up to other people's workouts to beg for scouts career, and actually retired from football as a junior for 12, to play for 12 years and start for 12 years in the NFL. Special. Every team is worthy. So my matchup. Oh, this is a great match. That has no bearing on the said. I was a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan as a kid, and football players that to me are marquee players, and so I get excited about stuff like that. Dave,
I think you're muted. You're muted, Dave.
Of course, because that's why
yeah,
I don't.
I lost you,
myself.
Dave.
All right. Well, we got to pay some bills. I got to see if I can correct this audio and get things going again. So stay with us on Geary, Stein, and Stevens. Don't go away.
Hi again, everybody. Dave Stevens from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show for Manscaped here at the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. And why am I on the turf? Well, because Manscaped really helps us groom that turf. The stuff down below, when you use all the Manscaped products, all the amazing Manscaped products that they have to groom, to shave, to keep clean, to smell good, with the shampoos, the conditioners, the deodorants, the lip balm, all of the great stuff. Manscaped has great products, not only for down below, but for all of the stuff up above, too. And if you go to the website, manscaped.com, and type in the show code GSS Show, you get 20% off of your order, and you'll be able to have the best grooming materials that money can buy. So I use the Manscaped products every time I'm at a professional sporting event, and it makes me look great to get great locker room interviews and, of course, to continue to use the great Manscaped products. That's manscaped.com. Type in the show code GSS Show for 20% off. You'll look good. I look good. I smell good because I use Manscaped.
And I'm so excited to announce that we're going to be on television. Well, we are now, but we're even more so now because you can watch the Geary, Stein, and Stevens show from the luxury of your laptop or your big screen or wherever you watch things. And that's what we got going on here now as Geary and Stein and Stevens is on your home TV. You just go to yourhometv.com. You type in the Geary, Stein, and Stevens thing. I want to say show code because they give away so much, but it's that easy. And now you can see Linda Cohn and the best of our shows with Lee Steinberg and all the people. And like I said, you can work out. My buddy Jason, now he watches the show all the way down in Miami. So Geary, Stein, and Stevens on your home TV. And we lost our guest for a little bit. I hope he's popping back on. If he hasn't, we are tap dancing. But Troy, we're waiting for Mark to pop back in. But so far, so good. It's great to hear his insight, especially when you talk about a game that maybe doesn't mean so much for us, but it still means a lot to him, not only as a broadcaster, but like you said, going back to Pittsburgh where he wanted to play as a little kid. Some good insight there.
Yeah, and he said that's one of his favorite stadiums to visit. So that was kind of interesting to hear that.
It's good to hear. And again, working with him for so many years, it was fun because we would sit in the newsroom and talk about all of the things that were going on in the NFL, and we would crack jokes about players and make fun of them. And it was just one of those cool camaraderie type things that you get in the newsroom, and that's why it was so awesome to work in those days at ESPN. And Mark is back joining us as we continue our part two of Geary, Stein, and Stevens. And Mark, back in the day, it was excited to hear that you were going to join us because I wanted to bring some stuff out of mothballs and see if you remember this guy, your acting debut when you were on Guiding Light.
Yeah.
Uh, Man, that was so cool to see you behind the scenes, rocking and rolling, and of course you were rock. And just some of your memories of being on the soap opera and TV and those kind of things.
Help me up. It's funny. I was sitting in the newsroom, Dave, and look how skinny I was.
Yeah.
Room, and I got an email from basically email said, "Hey, we really like you on television. We like your television presence. Look, so we'd love you to come out and be on the show." And I really was getting punked. So I just closed out my emails and was like, "Nah, I'm going to be on camera." Like, we got you, you idiot. So, like, and so I just.
Oh, we lost him right there. We've got him back.
Sorry about.
We have. That's all right. That's the price you pay for internet podcasting. But go for it.
Right.
You were shocked they had you.
Yeah.
In.
Well, I was shocked because I thought I was getting punked. I read the email and I told you guys that on television they gave a great television and we think you have a soap opera look. So think about auditioning coming on our show. It literally almost instantly because I thought Wingo or I thought I was getting punked. It really is what. But there's no way that this is true. Like, it's everything down. And I'm like looking around the newsroom. You guys think you're going to get me and get me? Like, I grew up, nobody's getting me. And so anyhow, like that night, and open up my laptop and instantly get a response back. And I'm down in New York auditioning, and they I spent 2 years on a recurring role of Detective Rock Hoover on the guiding light.
What a fun time that must have been. I remember we gave you lots of grief in the newsroom, and it
Sure.
was always fun. Trey and those guys, they rode you relentlessly, the pretty boy that you were, and everything like that. But and you got to be on Ballers, you got to be on some other things. Although you're playing yourself on Ballers
Mhm.
mostly, but
Right.
did you ever think in your NFL career that in the trenches, this big, fat, heavy lineman like you were would turn into this pretty boy?
Oh, never. I mean, never thought that would ever happen, and you get to go do Ballers and spend a bunch of time with Dwayne and some of the other actors on the show, and like it just phenomenal, really cool story.
And we have lost him once again, telling the story about Ballers. But Ghosts and Goblins, Halloween is over, but we've got you
Yeah,
back, Mark.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get through this. We're limping to the
Uh,
finish line. So,
there we go. Yeah. Um, I don't. It's just really cool to be a part of that show. The great production crew, the great behind Levinson, the producer of that show, people, and working with the Rock. I mean, the soul to the earth, and every day when I played in the training room, I was the first guy in the facility every day. I always rolled in about, and there's this room on the training room wall, the training room. So I'd always go in the training room, and then I'd start 2 hours of rehab before meeting started at 9. I'd walk in the building at 5 a.m., 5 to 7, and then I'd study film from 7 to 9 to our first meeting. But every day I read this plaque that was on the wall, and training room to this day, and that plaque says, "You can eat a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him." That was Dwayne Johnson. Like, is kind and is curious as anybody I've ever been around. And we were filming this scene where this dude is running his 40, and then he gets excited, and he's through all these palm trees on the.
oh, the fun of live internet television. We've lost him again. He's going to be right in the middle of his story. Welcome back, Mark. Go
Yeah.
for it.
I'm sorry. I don't know if that's me or I don't know what's.
I'm blaming your cable guys.
It's a great scene, and she's supposed to be jumping, doing backflips off the, and so we stand, and this kid is warming up. We're just watching this kid warm up, and we're gonna start minutes. So Dwayne Johnson leaves to his trailer, and they reset. They move all the cameras. We're just standing around watching. Gymnast kid rolls in there, and he starts doing back flips off this boat and all kinds. And we're all sitting there just watching him. Just an incredible athlete the guy is. And Wayne Johnson bebopping back down the trail. We're just all watching this kid, and for like 30 seconds. And, "Hey man, my name's Dwayne Johnson. What's your name?" "Who you are, right? I get it." And he goes, "This is the guy." He goes, "Well, I was a gymnast at the University of what?" He has the entire conversation. He's like, "Oh, unbelievable athlete. Da, 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 da. What do you still do?" And he just invests literally in this kid's life. And myself, you dumbass, like you sat here and watched the word, right? But that's Dwayne, and I just have so much respect. He is. So anyhow, that's my that story.
You won 3 Super Bowl championships, but I want to talk about your first one with Washington. That was played here in Minnesota at the Metrodome. What do you most remember about that game, and what's your favorite Super Bowl memory out of all three of them?
Um, that game was, you know, we left Minnesota and bus about up in the mountains um, for Saturday night. Ourselves away from everything because the game didn't kick o'clock p.m. or whatever it was, and in the mountains and just kind of were there as a team hotel, everything, and bust up them. And it was interesting. Just had of the fact that we were just and John Matt called that game, and he came to our play, and we were punishing one another. I mean, it was one of the most fun around. It's full tilt. It's a snot out of one another. And um, later, I find out Joe Gibbs he called the practice a little bit early because we were just and John Madden looked at Pat Summer like um, at the time we were like the Redskins are going to destroy the Bills. They're going to kill the Buffalo Bills. Physical practice, and ultimately 24, but it wasn't that close. We gave them a couple late scores, and Super Bowl team in the history of the Super Bowl, the only ever to be a top five offense, and a top five defense team, and so we were memory though is seeing John get his first one, Super Bowl 32, being an 11-point underdog to the pack, watching John get that first Super Bowl. That's the coolest things I've ever seen and ever been a part of.
And it was great. You got to play with Elway. I mean, talk a little bit about what that relationship was like when you guys were together in the trenches, doing things that a lot of teams didn't get a chance to do.
Well, Elway was always one of those dudes that.
And right when he talks about John Elway, of course, Mark pops back up. So we'll just tap dance for the 5 seconds it costs to reestablish him, and he will begin to talk about John Elway once again. Go for it, Mark.
All right. Jottiness here, but Elway was so much fun. It didn't, but there was just a confidence. Every time you stepped up, it didn't matter where you were, like what the situation was, believability that we can win this game. And we had a third down against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There was a third down, and I think it was 7. And Shannon Sharp is yelling, what do we got? And it's loud and it's crazy, trying to win a world championship, and first down to effectively put a stop to it back, and just get open. That was that third down. We to all these West Coast, this, that, and the other, and how our play was just get open, and did, and he double like it was a double kick off his hands. He reestablished connection. I think we got it by like a yard. It was thirds, and then it was the rest of the clock. So I just felt like we're good. We got Elway. We're fine.
Well, you were fine, and it was great to see the successes for John, and hopefully it continues as he's up to the high level, and you're watching a lot of your teammates and former guys you worked in the trenches with becoming coaches and all these kind of crazy things that make football so much fun. And we're going to put a bow on this show and wrap it up right after this. Got to pay a couple of bills, so don't go away. You are watching Geary, Stein, and Stevens, and you're also listening to it wherever you find podcasts. on Spotify, Apple, and all of the podcast things. And again, thank you for supporting us and loving us. It's important that we do a good job for you guys. So stay tuned. Don't go away.
Hi again, everybody. Dave Stevens. From the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show. And I'm on the road a lot covering professional teams like the Philadelphia beautiful stadium, but I don't have a lot of time to eat. What I do use, though, is Athletic Greens 1. It's a great supplement that you can use every day to get that nutrition that you're missing. And you know what? If you're drinking those energy drinks, those monster drinks, those add up where this costs just $3 a day. It's got over 75 vitamins and nutrients in it that it would take you so many pills and bottles to take, but it's all right here. You just put a couple of scoops in with the water. You mix it up with either lemon juice or what I like to use with frozen fruit. It tastes great. It makes you feel good. And, of course, it is going to make you live life better. So, Athletic Greens 1. If you want more information, go to athleticgreens.com/GSS. They'll give you a year's supply of vitamin D if you go to that website. So continue to follow Stevens, Stein, and Geary, or Geary, Stein, and Stevens, wherever you go. But make sure you're taking Athletic Greens 1. Hi again, everybody. Dave Stevens from the Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show for Manscaped here at the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. And why am I on the turf? Well, because Manscaped really helps us groom that turf. The stuff down below, when you use all the Manscaped products, all the amazing Manscaped products that they have to groom, to shave, to keep clean, to smell good, with the shampoos, the conditioners, the deodorants, the lip balm, all of the great stuff. Manscaped has great products, not only for down below, but for all of the stuff up above, too. And if you go to the website, manscaped.com, and type in the show code GSS Show, you get 20% off of your order, and you'll be able to have the best grooming materials that money can buy. So I use the Manscaped products every time I'm at a professional sporting event, and it makes me look great to get great locker room interviews, and, of course, to continue to use the great Manscaped products. That's manscaped.com. Type in the show code GSS Show for 20% off. You'll look good. I look good. I smell good because I use Manscaped.
And as we said, your home TV, we get to watch it because we're on it. So please continue to follow Geary, Stein, and Stevens on all social media platforms. But now you can watch us on your home TV. So please go to yourhometv.com, type in Geary, Stein, and Stevens, and you can watch us. Yeah, just like that when you're working out, doing all that fun stuff. So don't forget to support Geary, Stein, and Stevens, because we got so many amazing friends and family and everybody watching us, of course, and we do have to pay our bills. And of course, those bills mean that you are dressing up just like I do in fresh, clean threads. You want 20% off the world's softest, comfiest, best fitting men's clothes? Fresh, Clean Threads has your back, your front, your sides, and everything from tees to Henleys, pullovers, and hoodies. You get designer quality basics without paying ridiculous designer prices. Everybody looks good. I look good. I have confidence. Even though I don't have legs, I dress and look really good in the Fresh, Clean Threads. Type in the GSS show code for 20% off, and you will look as good as I do. Right, Troy? Do I look good in these Fresh, Clean Threads that I'm wearing? Plus, I find out we can send products to our guests, so we got to get some stuff here and get that out to Mark so he can start manscaping and, all that kind of stuff. But before we let Stink go, Troy, you've been itching to ask this question for a couple of weeks since you found out he was going to be on the show. So I've heard it many times, but it never gets old. So go for it, brother.
So I just want to know how you got your nickname Stink. There's different stories out there, so I just wanted to hear directly from you.
All right. I think my mic unmute me. This is the host. You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. So I actually got my nickname. My sister taught in a village in Alaska on the Kuskokwim River called Akiachuk. The first run of salmon during the salmon season, native people there would dip net the salmon, pull out of salmon. They would dig a big pit, cleaned out the salmon, they cut off the heads of the salmon, they would bury them, and they would rot, and then they would dig them up weeks later, rotten fermented fish heads, and so heads. And I told that story to Rookie playing for Washington and instant stinkhead, and then it became over time to stink. But that nickname stuck, and because there was a night game, preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. I was a member of the starting member of the Hogs. I ended up right guard, but I also was backing up left guard and back in case anybody got hurt. And so in the fourth quarter, late, and I was like, I'm just going to go in my pants and I go in the bathroom. I can't go to the bathroom. I'm just in case somebody gets hurt. And so I just sideline, and like as luck would have it, as soon as I did it, they were like stink. You got hurt, and I had to go snap. So Stan Hump wanted some warm up snaps, and I had literally, and so I was like, all right, 80 blue 80 said, I snapped the ball and just, I mean, I'm sopping wet, and hey, somebody dry him off with with sweat, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's my friend, but it's all right. So that nickname was never going to go away after. So that's kind of how the nickname stuck, if you will.
Well, unlike other sports where you can go in the dugout or into the locker room, I mean, things you're getting punched in the kidney, the liver, things like that. I mean, bodily functions are going to happen. I don't think the fans are aware that it's probably a little more relevant. And then we see puking and spitting. I mean, there's a lot of body functions going on in an NFL game, right?
There are, and and occasionally pee in my pants pretty much every game, but it wasn't always a lot. But yeah, like the season had to jump on the cart because it happens, right? Poop happens. So
Hey,
anyhow,
you've got a product too that makes you go number two, right? I mean, we've got to talk about the green chili that is stinking good, stinks green
yeah.
chili, and you can find it there. And I've got a nice graphic. So, tell us a little bit about the background behind the chili and how it's doing, and just kind of like where did this come from?
Yeah, it's just me and a buddy of mine, the company, gosh, 15 years ago. It's been kind of a fun labor of love, grocery stores and a bunch of Costco's here in Colorado, a few places around in New Mexico and in Arizona. Yeah, it's been kind of a labor of love, and it's always you thought was going to be a lot easier than it really is. We're plugging away and we're doing okay, and so it's kind of been a fun project for me. His recipe, and I just loved it. He'd bring it to me, and it was always kind of an ongoing to sell it, and so then we did. Kind of the rest is history. So it's been like I said.
And you've been able to make your life part of that, and also your family life as far as your children. And I mean, Daniel had a professional career. It was great at ESPN when we were together to watch him get drafted from Arizona, make it to the pros, and to watch that. I mean, it was so great to work with you. But before I let you go, I got to put you on the spot because it's been a weird up and down year. You were an offensive lineman that protected these quarterbacks, so Troy's an official. I got to ask this question. What do you think of the officiating lately? Are they really protecting the quarterbacks, or are we getting to the point where, this game is getting a little soft, or what are your thoughts? I know you always like to leave your opinion.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's officials to do is fairly ridiculous. We're asking them to protect these quarterbacks, and I don't protect the quarterbacks, but at the same time, it's football. So I'm as well. So I I know it's a hard job, but I think the league creates a situation. Now the officials can't really do their job as well. Their job. So I think there's a lot of things that you look at why they protect the quarterback so much. I know why to watch backup quarterbacks play. I get that, but they still have to play. I just, I'm one of those guys that looks at it. Hits are just standard football hits, long enough. If you play this game, it doesn't matter if you play long. It's 100%. It's not if, it's when. You are going to get hurt. And that's part of the allure. I just where I get protecting the head and the neck and all, but at the same time, you got to get quarterbacks can't be protected to the degree that it's tough. I think the other thing about the officiating in this league that there's a lot of these guys are told to, hey, swallow, if it's close, swallow your way, figure it out. I just think that's, I mean, if you see it, call it. Consequences be damned. That's kind of how I look at it. But job, so it's easy to complain. It's very easy to complain.
Yeah, especially if you're on the wrong side of the score, especially now that the league has eased up on gambling and FanDuel and all those kind of things. Things I never saw in my I thought I saw in our lifetimes, but it sure changes everything.
Dave, so I was always and through college football by some great NFL coaches, Joe Geary, Mike Shanahan, same thing, great man. But every team I ever played on, going all the way to the University of Idaho and Keith Gilbertson with the University of Idaho, I played for. We always used to say, never comes down to one play. As a team and as a player, so that's old in my head. That's a loser's lament. There's 65 plays we're going to make, and one bad call by the official. We can't be what like we have to make more plays than that. So that the officials don't cost you games. And if you let it come down to one bad call, then shame on you for letting it get to that point. That's how we always approached it, and that's what I believe.
And that's a great way to end it. So don't let bad calls or bad blips and audios and things affect the show, because we had a great show.
Yes,
right, brother?
There you go. I love it.
All right. Hey, man, I miss you. We, like you said, we don't get to see each other enough. I really treasure the days where we just sit back and talk football, life, family like that. You were always so good to me at ESPN, and I just I treasure our friendship. It's we pass like ships in the night, but it's always good when we get together.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys be well, man. Anytime you need me, just.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Troy.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
You got it. Guys, take
Mark Schlereth joining us, and man, taking time out of his busy schedule. That's pretty cool. And I know there was some choppiness in the audio a little bit for our listeners and viewers, but those are the breaks when you get a great guy like that. We just try to do what we can to fix it. So thanks, Mark, for joining us and being a part of our show. Troy, final thoughts?
It was a great night, with Mark, and our other show with Scott. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good week, and we got some more things coming up, some secrets. Might have a former Chicago Bull basketball player coming on in a week or so. I'm not going to give away the name, but he was a part of some of those titles. So, and again, part of our show is, of course, our sponsors. So don't forget AG1, athleticgreens.com from the GSS show. You want to make sure you go to that, type it in. You get that special vitamin D for a year. Is that what that is? Because I know you utilize this as well, and you feel good when you use it, right, Troy?
Oh yeah, it's giving me a great boost of energy. No more energy drinks for me. So
And when I'm
great product.
dancing, when I'm dancing, when I want to feel good, and again, these fresh clean threads, go to freshcleanthreads.com. You get these T-shirts. My son's been buying them. People are stealing mine because they want to wear them. They feel so good. They wash good. You throw them in the washer, they come out. They're pretty much wrinkle free. I mean, it really has been nice to have that. And of course, I got to shave a little bit, and especially when I'm on the road, Manscaped has helped me look good, feel good. All the products that they have, from the shampoos down to the lip balm. Again, 20% off of Manscaped. Type it in that GSS show. So, all right, brother, I see you're looking ahead and trying to book some guests and stuff like that, all the way up in Canada. God bless you for being a part of our show. From what hotel are you in? You want to give them a plug?
No, I don't. The internet's spotty, so I'm on my
Yeah,
hotspot here. So
Maybe they're the reason. They're the reason we kept losing.
maybe it's this is the reason.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, excited for a show. We'll have Chris Long here maybe next week sometime. So.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and we'll get some more people on and talking about their lives and things like that. So, and if you guys have a good guest or good question, suggestion, don't forget to email us. Follow us on all social media platforms. That's, of course, the Geary, Stein, and Stevens show. And that's it for tonight. So for Will, who's on assignment back at his job, and Troy, we're going to wave as we say good night from Geary, Stein, and Stevens. We love you.